There is a moment no one sees, somewhere between the applause fading and the lights turning off, where fame stops feeling like power and starts feeling like weight. For Beyoncé, that weight is not accidental. It is the price of choosing control in a world that feeds on access. From the outside, her life appears flawless, curated, untouchable. But perfection at that scale does not come without cost. And the real cost is not exhaustion or pressure. It is isolation. Being Beyoncé means living inside a paradox. The more global the influence becomes, the smaller the circle gets. Fame creates attention, but control demands distance. You cannot allow everyone in when your image, your work, and your legacy are constantly at stake. Every interaction becomes filtered. Every relationship is measured against risk. Trust is no longer emotional, it is strategic. Ask yourself, how many people truly know you when everything you do is watched? Control has always been her armor. It protects the work, the family, the narrative. But armor, no matter how refined, separates you from touch. Beyoncé does not move freely through the world the way most people do. She cannot blend into crowds. She cannot make mistakes quietly. She cannot experiment without consequence. Control keeps her safe, but it also keeps her alone. This is the hidden trade-off of absolute authority over one's image. Fame promises connection, but delivers distance. Millions feel close to her, yet proximity is an illusion. Admiration replaces intimacy. Applause replaces conversation. Even praise becomes noise after a while. When everyone projects meaning onto you, it becomes harder to exist as a private human being. Beyoncé understands this deeply, which is why she protects silence so fiercely. Silence is not mystery for her. It is survival. Isolation does not mean loneliness in the traditional sense. It means existing in a space where few people can challenge you honestly. When your success becomes overwhelming, feedback becomes distorted. People hesitate. Criticism softens. Truth becomes rare. And without truth, growth is fragile. This is one of the most dangerous side effects of fame. How do you stay grounded when the world is invested in your perfection? Beyoncé's response has been discipline and structure. She built systems around herself to replace what spontaneity once provided. Routines replace freedom. Preparation replaces chance. Boundaries replace trust. These are not signs of coldness. They are adaptations. When the environment becomes overwhelming, control becomes the only way to function without losing yourself. But control also limits vulnerability, and vulnerability is where connection lives. The emotional cost of this is subtle but constant. You learn to experience life at a distance. Moments are processed through awareness of cameras, narratives, and expectations. Even joy becomes measured. Even pain becomes strategic. You are never fully off stage. Imagine never being allowed to disappear, not even emotionally. What would that do to your inner world? This is where isolation deepens. Not because people aren't around, but because few are allowed close enough to see you unguarded. Beyoncé's inner circle is famously small, and that is not coincidence. Trust at that level is rare currency. Every addition increases risk. Every opening creates vulnerability. When your name is a global brand, your life becomes infrastructure. And infrastructure does not bend easily. If you're finding yourself thinking differently about fame right now, this is a good point to subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think control is worth the isolation it creates, or is access more important than protection? Control also reshapes identity. Over time, the role you play becomes indistinguishable from who you are. When the world rewards you for consistency, deviation feels dangerous. Beyoncé is expected to be excellent, composed, intentional at all times. There is little room for messiness, contradiction, or public uncertainty. Those traits are celebrated in others, but punished at the top. So control becomes not just a strategy, but a necessity for survival. Isolation intensifies when power removes peers. There are very few equals at that level. Conversations become asymmetric. Relationships shift. Even friendships are affected by status imbalance. It becomes harder to relax when admiration is always present. Harder to be challenged when respect turns into reverence. This is why true solitude, not just privacy, becomes essential. Without it, the self dissolves into the role. And yet, Beyoncé chooses this path repeatedly. That choice matters. She is not trapped by fame. She manages it deliberately. The isolation is not accidental, it is calculated. It allows her to protect what she values most, the work, the family, the vision. But calculation does not erase cost. It only contains it. The public often mistakes her distance for coldness, arrogance, or detachment. In reality, it is containment. Containment of energy. Containment of emotion. Containment of risk. When your influence reaches that scale, every crack becomes a headline. So you learn to hold yourself together tightly. Over time, holding together can start to feel like holding back. The most profound price of being Beyoncé is not what she gives up publicly, but what she sacrifices privately. Fierce, spontaneity, being unknown, making mistakes without consequence. These are small freedoms most people never think about, yet they shape a sense of humanity. When those freedoms disappear, identity must be rebuilt on different foundations. What remains is intention. Beyoncé replaces randomness with purpose. She does not drift. She designs. This gives her longevity, but it also narrows the emotional range available to her in public. The isolation becomes the quiet background of excellence, always present, rarely acknowledged. So when we admire her control, we should also recognize what it costs. When we praise her perfection, we should understand what it excludes. Power always demands payment, fame always collects interest, and isolation is often the final bill. Now ask yourself something honestly. If total control required giving up ease, access, and anonymity, would you choose it? Would you still want that level of influence if it meant standing alone at the top? If this exploration stayed with you, subscribe for more reflections like this, and leave a comment about what you think the true cost of fame really is. Sometimes the most important conversations happen where the spotlight doesn't reach.